Good evening, and thanks for joining us. My name's Steve Pultz. I'm the Assistant Vice President for Enrollment here at the University of San Diego, and welcome to the second of our 3 webinars as part of our Torero Countdown series. Those of you who had the opportunity to look at our first webinar, we focused on the registration process. You had a chance to hear a little bit about how you completed the Advising Questionnaire. You learned a little bit more about our living learning communities and how those are connected to our academic component. And you learned a little bit more about our liberal arts general education program. Tonight's program has a little different focus. And tonight we're going to focus more on the business side of becoming a Torero. It includes things like how to navigate through our online student portal, how you take care of a lot of the online business transactions at the university, from adding and dropping a class, to making sure that you pay your bill on time, and to making sure that all of your financial aid information is up to date and current so we can expedite that process as quickly as we can. The information you hear tonight, we're going to introduce you to a couple of offices on campus that will be very, very helpful as you make your way through, not only this summer as you transition into becoming a Torero, but throughout your 4 years at the university. Let me introduce our panelists tonight. I'm joined tonight by Steve Schishler, the director of our One Stop Student Services Center, by Rosemary Stahlbaumer, the director of our Office of Student Accounts, and by Judy Lewis-Logue, the director of Financial Aid. The way that this will work tonight is that I'll facilitate the conversation this evening, and each of our panelists has a presentation that they will work on and talk a little bit more about their particular offices, the way in which you'll interact with those offices, both online and in person. They'll talk about some specific things that you'll want to know as you make your way towards August 31st and move-in day. You'll be able to ask questions as we go through. Some of you have already actually started to chat, which is great. We'll pause in the middle to start to answer a few of those questions, but we'll leave some time at the end to answer additional questions as we go. We'll focus on more general questions. I know when it comes to financial aid and things like student accounts, you may have very specific questions that you'll want to ask our panelists and some of the members of their office. Those are the questions that might be best asked either in person or over the phone. And if we're not able to address those tonight, later on in the chat room, which I'll explain in just a minute, you'll have an opportunity to connect with some of the staff, and we'll get your information offline and be able to answer those questions. At the conclusion of our presentation tonight, we're going to provide you with some instructions, and we'll certainly encourage you to join us in a live chat where representatives of each of these offices, the One Stop, Student Accounts, and Financial Aid, will be on hand to continue the conversation and to answer more of your questions in detail. We'll also have several current students there as well. But let's go ahead and get started, and we're going to start with you, Steve. The concept of a one-stop center may be very new for a lot of our families and students out there. I know certainly when I was in college, which was a very long time ago, there were no one-stops. It's a relatively recent phenomenon. So maybe you could start by just explaining what a one-stop is and how it's going to help students throughout their time at USD.
All righty. Well, first of all, welcome to the one-stop office. That's where we're located right now. And a lot of you may be asking, so what is a one-stop, as Steve said? What the one-stop is, what our office does is we're the front line for the registrar's office, the student accounts office, and the financial aid office. We are the people you should go to first when you have a question so that we can give you an answer. We can answer most questions 95% of the time is our goal, and we've reached that for all 3 of those offices. If we can't answer it the 5% of the time, we'll get you the right person that can get you your answer. When you are off campus, the best way to get a hold of us is at our email, which we'll show you later as well, but for right now it's onestop@sandiego.edu. We promise to reply in less than 1 business day. What you're going to hear tonight from all of our colleagues here is something that we have worked hard in the One Stop to be trained on all of this stuff that they'll be telling you about. So that's what we will try to help you with. What kind of things can we do in the One Stop? Well, you see in front of you on the next PowerPoint slide that some of the things that we're able to do, we can look at your financial aid with you. By the way, everything I'm about to go over, you can do yourself through the portal and see these things for yourself 24/7. You can review your student account, you can make a payment, you can register for classes, and make changes to registration. But for those of you watching tonight, that won't take place until the afternoon of September the 3rd, Tuesday before classes. Up until then, your preceptorial advisor will be doing the registration for you. You can enroll in a payment plan. You can chart your progress towards your degree using our degree audit record system, and more commonly known as DARS. So you'll hear the word DARS a lot. And you can submit in our office any follow-up documentation that the financial aid office has asked for to complete your financial aid. Generally speaking, our office is the place to go when you don't know where to go. Come here first, and we'll do our best to help you. And if, as I said before, we'll direct you to the right place if we cannot. Next up is a picture of your new student portal tab. Many of you, or hopefully all of you, have been on here already and seen the things that you can do through our portal. USD is quite proud of the portal. There's a lot of things you can accomplish on that, and the idea behind that is that you are able to do things without running into one of our offices to try to get something done. The more self-sufficient you can be on that, the more helpful it'll be for your education here. Until the afternoon of Tuesday, September 3rd, as I was saying before, you'll have this new student tab and also the admitted tab that we'll see in a little bit. On these tabs, one of the things you can do is there's a link to the FERPA electronic form. And the FERPA form, I'll explain that more later, but that's a very important form that you can just click right into and get it completed online. There's a link to order your textbooks. You can look at your student account. You can upload your photo for your campus ID card, and the sooner you do that, the better. And we're going to go over the task list towards the end of tonight's webinar, but that's something you'll want to get done, and we'll explain a little more about that later. Then next on the admitted tab, many of you have also seen this tab. The reason I want to point out this tab is this is the tab where you can look at your financial aid. You see in front of you right now at the middle at the top, you see the red flags and the other information there. As you're looking at that particular channel, you will see red flags, yellow triangles, or green check marks. The red flag means something needs to be done. Financial aid needs something from you, so click on that and find out what it is they need and how you can get it completed and submit it to our office or send it to them directly. The yellow triangle means you have done that, and now financial aid is logging it that they have received it and they are reviewing it. And then it will move to a green check mark when they reviewed it and everything is completed. Those are important steps that you're going to want to follow all summer to make sure your financial aid is complete. In the channel just below that called Financial Aid Status, that's where you can review all of your awards and accept your awards. Many of you have done that already. If you haven't, go in and accept those now. You can also sign up for how much of a loan you want or all the amount that's been awarded to you. The next tab to look at is the one-stop portal tab. Now, I mentioned twice already, Tuesday, September the 3rd. On that afternoon, you will be switched from the new student tab and the admitted tabs to the one-stop tab. This is the tab that's used by all continuing enrolled students, which you would now be one. The classes will start the next day, Wednesday, September the 4th. On that tab, some of the things you can do in addition to what you've been doing on the first two tabs is mostly change your classes. That's why it's not available until that afternoon after you've met with your advisor and know what to do. The other thing, as I mentioned before, is DARS, your degree audit record. You'll want to become very familiar with that, even though you're only in your first semester, because that will track your progress toward your degree the entire 4 years that you're here. It's very important to stay up with that and make sure you're making the correct progress towards your degree. Also on the portal tab, the one-stop tab, is information from all three offices and lots of information that you can drill down and find out pretty much anything you want to know. There's a channel that also represents important dates and deadlines you can see there on the lower left, and there's also access to all of the forms from all three offices. And then lastly, within the portal is what we call our CashNet menu. When you're on the one-stop tab or the new student tab, there's a link called My Online Student Account. If you click on that, you will go to this menu, the CashNet menu. We call it the CashNet menu because that's the software that USD uses for billing and for payments. Some of the things that you can do there, First, in the upper left-hand corner, you can look at your student account balance anytime. And that's, if you're always wondering, what's my balance now, you can look right there. And then pay attention to the other things I'm going to tell you, because you can find out what makes up that balance all right from this menu. In the lower left-hand corner, you can authorize a parent to view your bills and pay your bills, something I'm sure all of you would like to do. You can also set up a payment plan, and that channel is located in the middle of the right-hand side of that tab. And then lastly, for the things I'm pointing out tonight anyway, you can view your bill in the upper right-hand corner. You can view your bill for the past several months. So this is an ongoing thing. And then most importantly, I want to point out to you that link right at the bottom of that channel that says, look at your recent activity, because if you look at your last bill and something has changed in your balance and you want to know what it is, click on this link and it'll show you every piece of activity since the last bill. And it's very, very helpful.
Thanks very much, Steve. The One Stop certainly is here to help make those business transactions much easier for students, either in person or online. Let's transition now to Rosemary, and the Office of Student Accounts is certainly something that will be of interest to parents, and we hope that many parents are tuned in this evening, but students as well, as bills will be coming out very shortly. And the Office of Student Accounts is the place where the bills come together and where the collection of those bills happens. So, Rosemary, could you talk a little bit about your office and the ways in which, again, you'll be interacting with families over the next couple of weeks and months?
Sure, thank you very much. First of all, I'd just like to welcome you tonight, and I appreciate you spending the time with us tonight so you can learn more about your student account and how we can help you throughout your career at USD. What a student account is we compile all of the financial transactions that you conduct business throughout your time at USD, and then we present that information to you on a billing statement so you can make payments to pay off that account. So the things I'm going to cover tonight, I want to talk to you a little bit about the USD educational cost, dates and deadlines, payment information, your financial aid and how that works with your student account, and then billing statements. And I highlighted billing statements because that's where I'm going to spend most of my time discussing the information. So you're probably familiar with the educational cost at the University of San Diego, but I went ahead and listed them here. I wanted to let you know that this is the tuition and fees for 2013 and 14. Each spring, our Board of Trustees at the University of San Diego meet and determine if these rates are going to go up each year. So just so you know that these will likely change throughout your career at USD, and we will know that in the middle of the summer before you come to school. I'm going to focus on the dates and deadlines now. I'm not sure if you're familiar with our academic calendar, but USD has an academic calendar on our website. And these dates, is, in addition to all of the other registration dates and when school starts, that's all listed in our academic calendar, and you can always find that online. The two dates I really want to focus on is our billing statement production date, which is August 2nd. And what that means is we're going to be sending out a notification, an email notification to you on or about August 2nd, and let you know that your billing statement is ready to view. The tuition and fee due date for this fall is August 28th. So there's a couple of other dates listed here, but those are the two dates that I really wanted to focus on tonight. So you may ask how you're going to pay your account, and I just want to provide you with a little bit of payment information. We have two ways to pay your account. You can pay your account in full by the due date, which is, like I said, August 28th, and we offer that option for all of the terms. That includes study abroad and the special sessions, intersession and summer. We also offer a 5-month payment plan, and that's for the regular terms, fall and spring. And if you're studying abroad, we do not offer that plan for you, and so you'll want to make sure that you pay by the due date. There is a $50 processing fee each semester to sign up for our payment plan, and you can do that online, as Steve mentioned a minute ago. I also want to tell you that we do offer online payments and that you can make those online through your checking or savings account at no cost to you. And I just wrote that you are important to us, and the reason why is because these two options seem like they might fit for everyone, but we know that life happens and things change and something might come up during the semester that you didn't expect, and we just want you to feel comfortable giving us a call, giving our office a call, or stopping by the One Stop and just letting us know what's going on so we can work something out with you. Next, I want to talk to you a little bit about how your financial aid works with your student account. And Judy, the Director of Financial Aid, is going to talk more about financial aid, but just basically, I just wanted to tell you, you've completed your FAFSA, hopefully, you've provided documentation to financial aid, received your award letter, and then accepted your financial aid. And so at this point, you look at your portal, like Steve mentioned, and you don't see any red flags, so you know that your financial aid is ready to apply to your student account. Well, there's one thing, there's a federal regulation that only allows us to post the financial aid to the student account 10 days before the start of the semester. So although you've done everything you can to allow it to post, we have to wait for that 10-day period. And so on our billing statement, we'll actually list the financial aid at that point as estimated financial aid, and I'll show you that in a minute when we get to the billing statement. So what will happen is when that 10-day period expires, then the financial aid will apply to the student account, and if there's a credit balance, then we're going to issue you that credit balance of your financial aid, either by direct deposit, if you sign up for that on the portal, or we'll mail the check to your local mailing address. Otherwise, on the billing statement, you will see a payment is due at that time. So how do all these pieces get put together? Some of you might not know what a student account is, but the student account is basically going to keep track of all of the financial transactions that you conduct during the semester. So it'll keep track of payments made, it'll keep track of the financial aid, tuition and fees being charged, meal plans, housing, if you purchase books at the bookstore on campus. All of those transactions are all going to be put on your student account. And so let's take a look at your billing statement. So this is just an overview of the statement. It's pretty small, and I'm going to go through the different sections on the billing statement so you can actually see what each section looks like. But what you need to know about the student billing statement is we send these out electronically. There are no paper billing statements mailed to you. So what you'll want to know is that we're going to send an email to the student to let them know that the billing statement is ready to view. Steve mentioned to you about authorizing a parent or a third party to be able to also receive this statement. And so you want to make sure that you take care of that if the student, are not the one making sure that the bill is paid. So now let's look at the summary statement. On the right corner of the statement, you'll see a summary section. And what you see is the student ID. All of your student IDs start with a 008. And why that's important is because we're going to give you a call. When you give us a call and have a question, we're immediately going to ask, what is the student ID number? So you're going to want to include that on all your communications to us, whether it be your a phone call or on your email. You're going to want to be sure to include that. The statement date lists all the transactions that have happened through that production date. And then you'll see the due date and also the total amount due. The total amount due is listed here before a payment plan is signed up for, and we'll go through that a little bit, the more detailed information in the statement a little bit later. But what you want to know about that total amount due is if for any reason you have a credit balance, that'll show up in that field as well with a negative in front of it. Now we're going to look at the main part of the billing statement. And what you'll see is the main part with the tuition and your offsetting deposit that you've already made, the mandatory fees charged, and then any kind of course fee that might have been attached to a specific course. You'll also notice that there's a previous billed amount, and since you'll be receiving your statement for the first time, that will not have an amount. You'll also notice that there's a charge column and a credit column, and so when you see the charge column, that's going to be any of the transactions listed on the left, and you'll see the credits are listed on the right. Although there's not a negative sign in front of them, those are offsetting credits to the charges. So you'll see that the balance on this is a little bit over $27,000, and I'll explain why that's important in a minute. So then the next slide you're going to look at also has the meal plan, housing, your offsetting deposit, damage deposit. And the things that you don't want to see here are parking citations and library fines. So you just want to make sure that you're keeping track of where you're parking in the right place, and that you're returning the books, because we hope you don't see those charges on your statement. So the next section of the statement is estimated financial aid. And like I mentioned a few minutes ago, we are not allowed to post the financial aid to your student account until 10 days before the start of the semester. So what you want to know is it'll show up on your billing statement as estimated financial aid. And as you can see, the balance, the $27,000 balance that I mentioned, is reduced by that financial aid. And why it's listed in estimated is because you've taken care of all the requirements that you've needed to in order for the financial aid to apply to your student account. The next section of the billing statement lists the financial aid that requires further attention. And what that means is that some requirement has not been met. And you'll be able to view that information on your red flags that Steve had mentioned earlier on the portal. And so what could it mean if that needs more attention? Master promissory note might not have been signed, an entrance counseling still needs to happen. Maybe there's a change of status that hasn't been turned in. And a change of status is like if you say you're going to be living on campus and then you determine, okay, I'm going to be living off campus, you'll need to notify financial aid and give them that information. And one thing to note about that is that you can see that that balance, that Parent Plus loan that's listed, the $10,000, does not reduce the balance because we can't count on that coming in. We have to wait for the requirements to be met. The last part of this billing statement are the payment options. And like I mentioned, we have two payment options. One is to pay in full by the due date, which is August 28th, and the other option is to pay in a monthly installment plan. I mentioned to you just a minute ago that there are it's a 5-payment payment plan. However, for this fall, we're offering a 4-payment payment plan. And the reason is because we're sending your billing statement at the beginning of August. So the first payment's going to be due by August 28th, and the following payments will be due October 1st, November 1st, and December 1st. And there is the $50 installment one-time setup fee also listed there. And what you'll note about that is that once you do sign up for a payment plan and you get your statement, it will have the payment plan amount that you'll need to pay by the due date rather than the full amount. The last thing on the statement that I didn't include, but I went ahead and just highlighted it, is important information. And what we'll include there are the upcoming due dates, payment plan information, definitions of what estimated date is, just as a reminder, or if it requires further attention. We'll give you contact information for questions, and then if there's a past due balance on the account, we're going to make note of that as well, so you'll be aware of that. So I just wanted to list here the highlights. What are the highlights of my the information I'm providing tonight? And there's just a few. I just want to make sure that, again, students, please authorize your parents or third parties to be able to view and receive the billing statement notices. That the billing statement notices will go out at the beginning of August, scheduled for August 2nd. That the due date is August 28th. And that we are offering a payment plan, and I just listed the due dates again, just so you'll have access to that. You can always look at the calendar dates on the academic calendar on the website. And I know I didn't talk about the FERPA. Steve mentioned the Family Education Right to Privacy Act, but that's really important to us that you complete that. And the reason is because as a parent, you'll call in and you'll want to know information about the student's account, and we really want to give the information to you, but by federal law, we're unable to provide that information unless you're listed on the FERPA. So we just want to highlight that for all of our offices. And I've also just included a copy of or a screenshot of our website, and all the information I covered tonight is listed here. And you'll also be able to find a lot of other information that might be helpful to you. And as we say in my office, it's always a great day to be a Torero.
Thank you so much, Rosemary. Lots of great information for students and for parents out there. While you and Steve were talking, we did get a couple of questions that we'll go ahead and try to address right now. And Rosemary, I know that you did sort of cover this. I think maybe the question came in prior to you answering it. But just to clarify, as we talk about terms that families may not be as familiar with, someone wanted to know could you make the distinction between paying the bill versus registering for the payment plan? Obviously not two the same thing, but two different distinct steps. Could you just go back over that just real quickly?
Sure, no problem. So paying the bill would be paying the account in full. And signing up for a payment plan, if you sign up for the payment plan, you would actually be making the first payment that's due on the account. So we consider your account paid if you're signing up for a payment plan after the first payment is received. So we would, as soon as that happens, then we would consider the account paid, at least as far as not receiving any kind of penalties.
Okay, great. Thanks. Another question that came in, and I guess I'll go ahead and address this. The question was about how much does tuition typically go up each year? And that is a great question, and I don't have a particular answer for you in the sense that that decision is made each year by our Board of Trustees. And they meet 4 times a year, and at the February meeting, the board gets together, and on the recommendation of a number of people here on campus, they will set tuition for the following academic year. And so we notify families typically in the early part of March as to what that new tuition is going to be. Now, in years past, and using history as a guide, over the last several years, USD has been very sensitive to the fact that the cost of education, and in particular private education, has gone up quite a bit. We've been very proud of the fact that our tuition increases have been kept to about the 3.5% range, and that's now going on about 4 or 5 years that we've had about a 3.5% increase in tuition. This year, for example, for the academic year that we're about to start, when you start your classes in September for 2013-2014, there's actually no corresponding increase in room and board costs. So often there's an increase for tuition and then for your room and your meal plan charges. Now, that's not always the case. Sometimes those goes up as well. And again, those have been historically in the 3 to 4% range. You will know more about what that is. The tuition that is posted and covered right now, and the tuition that Rosemary alluded to, is the current tuition for your freshman year, 13-14. In March of 2014, we'll announce what the tuition will be later on. Again, we'll come back to some questions, and we'll answer some questions later on. But Judy, I want to turn now to you. We've heard a little bit about financial aid, and we've heard about that from a couple of different perspectives here. Families certainly have been on the website, on the portal rather, and have accessed their financial aid, but still a lot of things that we want to share with them and a lot of things they need to do before the start of school. So thanks very much, and we'll turn things over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Steve. Well, first, welcome, new Toreros. Before I talk about financial aid, I need to define it. Financial aid is scholarships, grants, student employment, and loans. The combination of those types of financial aid is called a financial aid package, and you'll hear me use that term. Every year, I ask graduating seniors who have had financial aid, going through USD, used financial aid, what they think the most important thing is that I tell new entering undergraduates. And the answer is always the same. Tell them not to borrow any more than they really, really need. And they also say, tell them to develop good money management skills so they can keep their student loans to a minimum. We know that works, and we're very proud of our students for doing both of those things. First of all, the Financial Aid Office tells every student how much they're eligible to borrow, but it doesn't mean that they should borrow that amount. So it's important to work out your own expense sheet and we give you tools for doing that on the financial aid website. It's also on the portal where you found your financial aid award. And it's up to you and your family to determine exactly how much you should borrow. But you should not automatically borrow what is offered in the way of loans. We also provide a lot of good information about money management skills. And the nice thing about developing good money management skills is that they will help you through the rest of your life. And a lot of people don't think about developing them in college, but that is the best time to do it because that's how you can keep your student loans to a minimum. We're very proud of USD students for using looking at it this way and protecting themselves from borrowing too much. And the class of 2012, I'm happy to say, we found that they had an average cumulative loan for borrowing for 4 years in a row of $29,900, which is less than 1 year's tuition. And they also have a very, very low default rate. So we're very proud of USD students, and we know they worked hard to keep their loans to a minimum, and I totally agree with them that that is the most important thing that you should know as you start out. Now, in addition to keeping them low, there are also provisions, federal provisions for things that are called loan cancellation and loan forgiveness. And you're going to want to go on the federal website to learn more about those options. They are being enhanced all the time because there is a need to help students find ways to ensure that they pay their student loans back. But loan cancellation can come into play if you work in if you major in a certain field and you work in an area where your services are needed. There are a lot of different ways in which students can, teachers and nurses come to mind, but there are lots of different ways in which students can take advantage of loan cancellation benefits if they learn about it coming into their program and can plan accordingly. And there's another concept called loan forgiveness, and that you need to familiarize yourself with the difference. In addition, in paying back loans, there have been new provisions recently that have expanded the ways in which students can repay their loans, and they're tied more to income, the income that they make after they graduate. There's a 6-month grace period in which the student is able to find their job and then begin repaying on their student loans. And that has made it more flexible. If a student is lucky enough to get a job that pays a great deal, well, the amount that they will need to pay every month on their student loan will be higher than the student who takes a position with a nonprofit and makes less per year. So that's a new and good feature to repayment of student loans. And of course, it's very important to get acquainted with the Student Employment Center, which is part of the Office of Financial Aid and located in the Hughes Administration Center. They have all the jobs that are on campus, and they have them on their website, but they also have jobs that are one-time jobs, like walking someone's dog or house sitting for someone who's going to be gone for a while. And those are jobs that can bring extra money into your life, and you can use those to spend instead of trying to borrow the money to do something that you want to do. So please familiarize yourself with the opportunities provided by the Student Employment Center. They're always anxious to help you. Of course, scholarships play a great deal into keeping loans to a minimum. And I'm proud to say that USD students brought with them last year over $4.3 million in outside scholarships that they found before coming to USD, and they were able to bring them with them. And of course, we allow them to use those scholarships to reduce any loans that are in their financial aid package. So it's greatly to their advantage to find those outside scholarships. As I said, we're very proud of them because it takes time and it takes effort to apply for those outside scholarships, and you certainly don't give up if you don't get one. It's like looking for a job. You don't give up if you're turned down on the first job application. So you want to continue to apply for outside scholarships in your first, as coming in as a freshman, and then in your sophomore year, junior year, for your senior year. So that's an important thing you need to be doing, along with learning more and more money management skills and keeping your loans to a minimum. In addition, you need to familiarize yourself with the renewal rules related to the kind of scholarship that you have from USD. The merit scholarships have terms that require you to make a certain grade point average, and that was provided to you when you received USD merit scholarship. In addition, there are the USD scholarships and USD grants that are a combination of need and merit, and those scholarships have their criteria as well for renewal. So it's very important to learn that criteria, be sure that you are meeting it so that you receive those scholarships each of the 4 years that you're a student at USD. Now, we know you've been through the financial aid application process, and I know it can be very confusing and seem very complicated, but we've created this chart that you're seeing now that gives an overview of how financial aid works. First of all, it is something you do every year. It's not as though you apply for the year that you enter the university and you don't have to do it anymore. No, you do it every year. And the FAFSA, the free federal application for student aid, it becomes available January 1st. And so you want to apply between January 1st and March 2nd. That's the undergraduate priority deadline at USD. Once you do that, and you list the USD school code, which is in the presentation materials, and you did that already because we received your information, then the University of San Diego's Financial Aid Office receives the information that you submitted on the FAFSA electronically. And once we receive it, then we notify you of any additional information that we need. And it's definitely in your best interest to provide it within 3 weeks, because that way you maintain priority application status if you do it. Of course, if there are some extenuating circumstances, you'll want to notify the Office of Financial Aid of some reason why you need longer to do it. And they will take that into account. So the Office of Financial Aid processes your application with the information that you've submitted in addition to the FAFSA information, and determines your eligibility for a variety of different kinds of financial aid. And that's when a package of financial aid is put together and made available to you on the My San Diego portal. You receive an email that tells you to check the portal, and when you check the portal, that's when you see what has been made available to you. Now, I know it's been mentioned by Steve and by Rosemary, and I'm going to mention it too. Don't forget to accept the financial aid. Some people get so excited when they see their financial aid award, they forget to accept it. So by all means, if you haven't done that, do it so that you are accepting it. And as Rosemary pointed out, however, the funds will not actually become available to go against the charges on your account until up to 10 days before the beginning of the semester. So that gives you a quick overview that will help you understand what you've just been through, and also help you know what you're going to need to do each year until you graduate. Now, there is a process called verification, and some of you have already been involved with this. A certain number of applications, FAFSAs, are selected randomly by the federal government, by the federal processor that they've designated. And if you're selected, you're notified, and the Office of Financial Aid is also made aware, and then you must provide the information that is requested to verify your application, which generally does involve providing IRS tax information. Those particular individual pieces of information that you need to provide are listed for you on the as additional requirements on the My San Diego portal. So it's in your best interest to provide that information as quickly as possible as well. Now, those of you who have received or been notified of your eligibility for federal student loans, this is a little tricky, so listen up. You need to accept them, apply for them, which the loan application is on the portal, so you need to do that online. And then you need to complete the entrance loan counseling requirement and sign the master promissory note. And once you've done that, you will think that the red flags that relate to your loans will go away. But the Office of Financial Aid this year is not going to be able to process the loans until after June 28th. It relates to the federal financial aid system. So those red flags are going to stay there until we're able to start processing the loans June 28th, and then they will change to green. So don't be worried if you do everything you're supposed to do and the red flags remain until June 28th. And actually, we're able to start processing the loans June 28th, but actually the the flags may not change until the middle of July because, as you can well imagine, there are many, many, many loans to be processed all at once at that time. Now, once you borrow a student loan, you're able to track it on a website that's called National Student Loan Data System. We tend to refer to it as the NSLDS, but that's what it stands for, National Student Loan Data System. And you have access to that as a borrower. So you will be able, throughout the 4 years, to track your cumulative loan totals, to see your loan history, and you'll also, of course, see your current loan status, and you'll be able to know who your servicer is. The servicers have been, the federal government has contracted with a number of servicers, and you will be assigned to one of them, and you will be able to, they'll tell you in NSLDS who your servicer is and the contact information. So you will be able to contact them directly to ask any questions that you have about your loans over the 4 years that you are borrowing. And we have provided the NSLDS website for you. Now, student employment, as I mentioned before, is very important. Over 1,000 students work on the USD campus, and it's really a wonderful experience to work for USD. They work part-time, and it helps them keep their loans to a minimum. It provides them opportunities to get great working experience and to develop skills that they can put on their resumes when they nearing graduation and they're looking for a full-time position. It also helps them explore career opportunities. Some students may find in working on campus that they're in a department where they notice that they really like what this department does, and maybe they want to become someone who is employable by a college somewhere in the country to do that kind of work. So it gives you career exploration opportunities as well. And of course, the supervisors that students have while they're working part-time on campus, they will serve as references for students who have done a great job when those students are applying for full-time positions as they near graduation. So it's very important to take advantage of student employment while you're at USD. And our campus really appreciates all the work of the student assistants, and we're aware of how the work cycle and the class cycles work, and so we can be more sensitive sometimes to clashing priorities, as we call them. The Student Employment Center information is listed on the screen so that you know where to find them, and they have a website that is used by the students looking for jobs through this, on this, before school starts. There will be job openings on that site. Now, the Federal Work-Study Program is a part-time employment program that is partially sponsored by the federal government, and students have to be eligible for that program. So if when you received your financial aid award, when you looked at it and you saw you were eligible for the Federal Work-Study Program, that means that you'll be able to work in one of those positions. And the job descriptions for the Federal Work-Study positions, as well as other jobs on campus, are going to become available on August 1st on the website, the Student Employment part of the Office of Financial Aid website, and we've given you that information. So we encourage you to do what you can before school starts to line up positions, and because employers on campus really do like to have students be able to start right as school starts, soon after school starts. Now, there will be a job fair. It's called a Federal Work-Study Job Fair, and that's scheduled for Thursday, September 5th, from 12 to 2 o'clock. And it's going to be in the Hahn University Center, where the One Stop Center is, and Forum A and B. And there will be representatives at that job fair from departments on campus who have not employed students yet. So they are going to be interested in interviewing students and hiring students at the job fair. In addition, there will be staff from the Office of Human Resources who will help students with the completion of new employee forms. Yes, students who work for the University of San Diego on a part-time basis are new employees to USD, and they are treated as new employees by the Office of Human Resources. So it's really important to take advantage of being a new USD employee on a part-time basis. So all the information that I've given you today is available on the Office of Financial Aid website. And on that website, you will see a tab that's, it's a resources tab, and when you click on that, then you will have an opportunity to see the Torero Countdown orientation information, and that is where we put all the information that I've covered today in this presentation. So we very much look forward to assisting you through the summer and into the fall.
Thank you so much, Judy. Wonderful information, and again, so much of that. A couple of ways you can reinforce that information, certainly on the website that you mentioned, on the portal, and I just do want to mention that this whole presentation will be available online through your portal afterwards. So if you're a student and your parents weren't able to watch it, or a parent and you want your student to watch it, you'll be able to access that from the portal later on. Before we get to your questions, we want to sort of conclude our portion of the program, and I'm going to turn things back over to Steve a little bit. Many of you have been hearing a lot about the Torero checklist. Hopefully you all enjoyed your little package and your shirt in the mail, and on that shirt was your Torero checklist of all the things, most of the real specific things and the important things that we need you to accomplish prior to move-in day on August 31st. I'm going to ask Steve to just review that checklist, and you've now been introduced a little bit more to the portal and some of the different tabs, and he'll walk you through where some of that information can be found, and then we'll get to some of your questions. So, Steve?
Okay, well, we broke the checklist down into three slides, one to do with each due date. So the first one, you see these things were supposed to be done by June 1st. Hopefully you do have your email account now, and you did attend the first webinar that talked about registration, and it was very, very helpful, and it was well attended. The last two things there, if those aren't done, please do those right away. The first one is the Advising Questionnaire, and that is what helps the advisors assign you the classes that you'll need. The housing application is the same thing, where they cannot assign you your LLC, your living learning community, or your room or your roommate until you get this done. So please do those right away if they're not done yet. On the next slide are the things you should be doing during the summer, starting with tonight's webinar. So congratulations, you did that first thing. Next up is to complete, as we've talked, all of us have talked about tonight, getting your financial aid requirements completed. So look at those red flags, and try to get those turned to yellow and green. But keep in mind what Judy just said about the loans, where those won't turn from red until the middle of July. The next up is pay your bill or set up a payment plan. You've got pretty much till August 28th to do that, and you won't see your first bill until August, the first week of August or so. Confirm your attendance at the orientation weekend, the OLA weekend. That runs from August 31st to September 3rd. We need to know the count for that, so please do that. And then the immunizations you see here, I'll also mention this again before we're done, because this is so important. It's the one area our office prides itself on helping a student in the gray area, but this one is completely black and white. You must get these records in, or we can't help you at all. You'll have a hold on everything you need to do, and we are not able to override that. So that's very, very important, and also fairly easy to accomplish. And then the last thing, during August, you'll want to attend the last webinar. And this is one that you're probably excited by this point, and now the people who will be doing the webinar, just like us tonight, are very excited, and will help you with the countdown to arrival. So there's a lot of things that go on the OLA weekend that you're going to need to know about ahead of time and be prepared for. Also, try to submit your photo for your ID card by August 16th. If you do this, then you won't have to stand in line to have your photo taken and then wait for your card to print and pick it up. Remember, your card is used for your room access and for your meal plan, so it's very important to get that done. Complete the FERPA form, as we talked about earlier. We cannot, as Rosemary said, we cannot help you or talk to your parents or anybody else you authorize on the FERPA form without that authorization. And as Rosemary said, that's a federal law. Purchase your parking permit online. If you're going to have a car on campus, the only way to get a parking permit is online. So don't drive onto campus and think you can go to the parking office and get a permit. They do not have them. They're all available online. Those should go on sale about August 1st, first week of August, so watch for that and go ahead and purchase it, and they're sent to your home within about 3 days. I purchased my parking permit that way, and I can vouch for it. It's a very well-run idea. Next is to purchase your textbooks or order your textbooks online. If you do that, the Trail Store will go pull those for you, put them in a bag with your name on them, and then when you come onto campus on Olay weekend, you simply walk into the bookstore, give them your name, pick up your bag, go to the register and pay for them, and you're done. Part of paying for them is if you need to, you can charge them to your student account. And then lastly, again, the immunization records. So I won't go crazy about that, but be aware that you do need to get those done.
Great. Thank you so much, Steve. We're going to turn to some questions now. And again, a lot of the questions that have come in are probably require a little bit more detail than we can go through right now. So I would encourage you, I'll provide some instructions in just a few moments of joining our chat room, where members of the staff of each of these offices will be able to drill into a little bit more detail and spend a little more time on your particular questions, or get your contact information that we can follow up and do some questions later on. But we do have a couple of questions, and Steve, I'll stay right here. I'll try to go in order for the ease of our camera person to not have to go back and forth here. But we'll start with you, Steve. We had a question about, and something we're seeing certainly more and more of, families that may have GI Bill, and how that how those funds can get applied to their fund, and certainly a growing number of both active military and veterans whose dependents are now joining us in the freshman class. Thank you for your service to start, but Steve, could you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I'm very glad that question. Thank you for asking that question. We have, in the last year, hired a veteran services coordinator to help all students with that. So we are very veteran friendly. In fact, we just got designated as one of the best schools for veteran students and veteran students' family. We do work with the Montgomery GI Bill. We work with the Yellow Ribbon Program. We work with the post 9/11 benefits, and we are able to handle all of those, as well as tuition assistance for active duty military. So we are able to do all of that. The biggest thing that needs to be done ahead of time before we start doing our part is to get the certification done through the VA office. So be aware of that. And then I'm sure anybody out there who's got these benefits, especially the post 9/11, is aware that you have 3 years to use them. So that's another constraint to be aware of, and it's something that we can work with you on, and we work with you to take summer classes when necessary to help get the thing done in 3 years.
Great. Thank you so much. Rosemary, I'll turn to you next. We had a couple of questions about the payment plans, and I know you referred to the fact that this year, because of when bills will go out, it's a 4-month payment plan, but some folks were asking if the 5-month plan will be available in the future.
Great. I'm glad you asked that question, actually, because yes, the 5-payment payment plan will be available in the future. And actually, if you would prefer to be on a 5-payment payment plan this year, we're happy to set that up for you. You would just need to call our office prior to getting your billing statement. So you could start making your payments early, August 1st through December 1st. So you could go ahead and split that up, and we'd be happy to calculate that for you and let you know how much you would need to pay by August 1st.
Great. And this question may be either for you or for Judy. I'll put it out there. You can each answer it. The athletic and academic scholarships, when will they be posted to the student account?
They're being put on the student's financial aid award, but in terms of posting.
Well, they'll post the same time as
Okay,
the other
good.
financial aid. So we
Yes,
post
yeah.
them all at the same time.
Okay, great. So will be reflected on the statement they get in August.
In
Yes.
August.
Perfect. Okay. And not surprisingly, Judy, I have several questions. We'll kind of focus on one. A number of people were asking specifically about some of the scholarship renewal requirements. I know you mentioned that different scholarships, academic, need-based scholarships, have some different renewal criteria. Where can folks find those?
Well, when they were awarded the scholarship, there was information provided at that time that gave the renewal criteria. And it's not one criteria across the board for all of them. There are different ones. So they need to check the information that's on their portal regarding the scholarship that they particularly received.
Okay, great. So please check the information in the portal that you would have received, and there's information there join our chat room. If you'd like, for more specific information, which is a great segue to our last slide and to our concluding comments tonight here. We're going to continue the conversation, and we really hope that you'll be able to join us and to go ahead and to log into www.collegeweek.com. This will require you to log in, and some of you have been on this site before. Some of you have actually participated in some of our recruiting events or perhaps the first webinar. But if not, you can go ahead and just create your login right there. It's a pretty quick and simple process. And once you're in the College Week Live website, you'll look for the USD event. There's actually a couple of different chats from other universities that utilize the same service, but there'll be a little box on the lower left-hand corner that says, look, a college list box, and you'll pick the University of San Diego. Click on that, and you'll be brought right into the chat room. Again, we've got a lot of folks there to really drill in and to answer your questions. If there is something real specific we need, we can actually have kind of a private chat with you and to get more information. And like I said, certainly follow up in the days that follow if we're not able to address those right now. You can see the information and the instructions right there on the screen. Our staffs are getting ready to join that. In conclusion, we just want to, again, thank you so much for participating in tonight's webinar, the second of three. The next webinar will be more student-run, and will really get you excited to the transition as you begin to continue the countdown towards August 31st. I think I calculated we're about 80 days or so. Someone could tell me exactly how many, but we're getting really close to welcoming you formally in campus. Steve, Rosemary, and Judy will be here during orientation. They'll be available. They have some sessions, and their offices will be open, so you'll get a chance to meet them. We're very much looking forward to seeing you on August 31st as you become an official Torero. We hope you found tonight helpful. Good night, and enjoy the rest of your summer.